Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving straight into how you can unlock the hidden, incredibly powerful compounds trapped inside your everyday herbs. And we're going to do it using a simple 5-minute method that's literally older than the entire supplement industry. Seriously, your kitchen is essentially a pharmacy. You just need to know how to pick the lock.
Let's start with a crazy number, 1.5%. That is the startlingly tiny fraction of active compounds, things like rosmarinic acid, that your body actually absorbs when you eat raw herbs like basil or mint. You might toss some raw oregano on your pasta and feel pretty great about it, but the vast majority of those incredibly potent molecules, they're just passing right through your digestive tract completely unabsorbed.
Part 1. The Hidden Herbal Fortress. Let's quickly look at the biological mechanics of exactly why these incredible plants are hiding their best medicinal properties from us in the first place.
Think about those cheap herbs sitting in your pantry right now. They contain the exact same highly active pharmacological compounds that get bottled up and sold globally in expensive supplement capsules. Take oregano. It's packed with carvacrol, which is famous for its antibacterial properties. Thyme has thymol, literally the active ingredient used in mouthwash since 1879? And basil and mint, they are absolutely loaded with anti-inflammatory rosmarinic acid. So these aren't just weak, flavorful garnishes for your dinner. They're actually some of the most pharmacologically active plants on Earth.
But here's the catch. Plant cells are essentially tiny, microscopic fortresses. They lock all those valuable polyphenols and essential oils deep inside rigid structural walls made of cellulose and pectin. Sure, your stomach acid and your natural gut bacteria can chip away at the edges a little bit, but they just can't fully break those walls down. And that means the medicine, so to speak, stays trapped inside the fortress, passing right through your system completely untouched.
Now, the $51 billion global supplement industry. They've solved this exact problem, and, well, they make an absolute fortune doing it. They use heavy industrial solvents, extreme heat, steam distillation, and high pressure to basically smash those cell walls and extract the compounds. Then they pack them into little capsules and sell them right back to you at massive markups. We're talking upwards of $50 a bottle for the exact same stuff sitting in your produce aisle for $2.
Which brings us to section 2, the fermentation solution. What if you could naturally dismantle those cellular fortresses yourself, at home, for just a few cents?
It turns out, by just submerging your herbs in a simple salt brine, you create the absolute perfect environment for a microbial dismantling crew. This process is dominated by two very friendly, very hungry bacteria, Lactobacillus plantarum and Lactobacillus brevis. Together, these incredible little organisms account for over 70% of the fermentation community. They step right in to do the heavy lifting that your stomach acid just isn't equipped for.
Once they get to work, these bacteria systematically break down those stubborn plant cell walls from the inside out. How? By producing highly specific enzymes. You can think of them like molecular lockpicks. They produce cellulase to chew right through the cellulose, along with alpha-glucosidase, esterase, and beta-glucosidase. By snipping all those chemical bonds, they can actually increase the total highly absorbable polyphenol content by up to 5 times in just 72 hours. That is 5 times the active compounds released totally for free.
And the contrast between raw and fermented herbs here is just staggering. The bacteria don't just act like a key to release trapped compounds. They actually manufacture entirely new, highly beneficial metabolites. For instance, they produce the calming neurotransmitter GABA. That doesn't even exist in the raw herb. Plus, think about fresh basil. It turns to brown mush in your fridge in, 5 days? The fermented version extends that shelf life by up to 50 times. We're talking 6 months or more.
Moving on to Section 3, Ancient Global Traditions. Let's look at how this builds on some of the oldest, independently discovered medical practices in human history.
Long before modern scientists were sitting in labs, measuring bioavailability or sequencing bacteria strains, ancient practitioners all over the globe were already systematically documenting this exact method. We have 7,000-year-old fermented rice and herb mixtures in China, 3,000-year-old Ayurvedic preparations in India, and ancient herb-infused kvass in Eastern Europe. All of these distinct cultures independently observed the exact same phenomenon. Fermented herbs simply worked faster, they lasted longer, and you needed much smaller doses compared to eating them raw.
Section 4, 3 DIY ferment setups. So, how do we take all this ancient science and actually use it in our own kitchens today in just about 5 minutes?
To start any of these setups, you really only need a few basic things. You absolutely want fresh, unscrubbed herbs. Why unscrubbed? Because those natural bacteria clinging to the leaves are exactly what kickstarts the whole fermentation process. But, and this is absolutely crucial, you have to make sure your water is non-chlorinated and your salt is non-iodized sea or kosher salt. Think about it. Chlorine and iodine are quite literally designed to kill bacteria. If you use them, you're going to wipe out all that beneficial lactobacillus and ruin the whole batch before it even starts.
Okay, so for soft, leafy herbs, think basil, mint, or parsley, it's incredibly straightforward. Anyone can do this. Just tear the unwashed leaves up a bit to expose more surface area and pack them right into a mason jar. Then you're going to submerge them entirely in a 2% salt brine. That's just 1 teaspoon of salt dissolved in 1 cup of water. Weigh the leaves down so they stay completely under the liquid. This blocks the oxygen. Put a loose lid on it and just stick it in a dark room at room temp. Give it about 5 to 7 days, and you'll see the bacteria happily producing little carbon dioxide bubbles.
Now, hardy herbs like oregano, thyme, and rosemary, they require a slightly different approach. Remember how we said they're packed with antimicrobial compounds like thymol? Well, that can actually work against you and inhibit the fermentation. So you need to physically bruise the leaves first. Really mash them up to break open that tough cell structure. You'll also want to step up to a stronger 3% brine. That's about 1.5 teaspoons of salt per cup of water. That extra salt gives your good bacteria the edge they need. This hardy ferment usually takes a little longer, roughly 7 to 10 days.
And then we have what's playfully called the unlimited medicine jar. To create this ultimate, highly bioavailable remedy, one that frankly rivals an entire shelf of expensive supplements, you blend 5 specific herbs together. Mix basil, oregano, thyme, rosemary, and mint all into a single quart jar. Submerge the whole shebang in a brine made from 1 tablespoon of salt to 2 cups of water and let it ferment for 7 to 10 days. You are effectively brewing a massive, multi-compound, probiotic powerhouse for literal pennies. It's like your very own botanical potion.
Finally, Section 5, Storage and Usage. So after a week or so, your brine is turned perfectly cloudy and tastes pleasantly tangy. How do you actually store and consume this living creation safely?
Well, the cool thing is you actually have 2 different products in that jar now. Both the fermented herbs and the liquid brine itself are absolutely packed with lactic acid, those freed up polyphenols, and tons of probiotics. So you can eat the herbs directly, toss them into salads, blend them into soups, whatever you like. Or you can take 1 or 2 tablespoons of the brine straight up in the morning as a daily wellness shot. You can even strain out the herbs, dehydrate them at a low temp, keep it below 40 degrees Celsius, and grind them down into a super potent, highly bioavailable tea powder. How cool is that?
Now listen closely, because there are a few absolute safety rules you must follow here. First and foremost, keep all plant matter below the liquid line. If it hits the air, it'll mold. If you see fuzzy mold growing, toss the whole batch, no questions asked. Now if it's just a thin white film of calm yeast on top, that's completely fine. The brine itself must taste noticeably sour. That sourness tells you the pH is safely dropped below 4.6, which is what naturally blocks dangerous pathogens like botulism. And finally, because these fermented compounds are so incredibly potent and bioavailable, please always consult your doctor if you're on specific medications like blood thinners or immunosuppressants, since they can interact with gut bacteria.
It literally takes 5 minutes and less than $1 to recreate an ancient process that goes toe-to-toe with a $51 billion modern industry. You don't need a chemical factory to get the most out of your food. You just need some salt, some clean water, and a little bit of time. So now that you hold the key to unlocking your very own kitchen pharmacy, what are you going to ferment first?